Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would share a fun video with you guys. It was actually a tag video that was something like 20 classics to read in 2020, or I should say in the 2020s, because I don't know that I can quite get through 20 classics this year alone. And this was prompted by Emma, the Bookish Princess. You guys know I'm always like fangirling over her. I love her videos, and she was the one who got me back into reading a couple of years ago. And I just thought this was a really fun tag to share, especially since I have done a couple of really big book hauls, and a lot of those hauls included tons of classics that I was really excited to read and haven't read yet. So I just feel like doing a challenge like this will prompt me to go ahead and make sure I incorporate them into my monthly reading, even if it's once a month or every other month. Just keep it in the back of my mind that I have this list in this little book here of 20 books that I want to read in 2020. So I wrote down everything that I hope to read. I'm gonna really try hard to read most of them actually this year, and I'm already off to a pretty good start, and I'll let you know about that in a minute. But I went through my bookshelf and I took a picture of every single book that I hope to read in the near future. Instead of like having a huge pile here to individually show you, I'll just put a little clip right in the video screen so that you can see the books that I'm talking about. But I did take the time to make a nice big list here, and you can see I have classics to read in 2020, and I wrote everything down. And then I was even going to go as far as to find out the reason why I purchased these books. Obviously I saw them on BookTube and somebody was talking about them and made me really interested in purchasing them, so I did. And now I'm like, why did I buy this book? What was it that really made me interested in this book? But since there's 20, that's too many videos to go back and watch, and also too many things to talk about, because I don't want the video to be 2 hours long. So I'm just going to read to you all of the books that I hope to read in 2020, and you'll have to let me know in the comments below if you guys are going to maybe attempt to do this as well, because it's just a fun way to get yourself interested in reading some of the amazing classics that are out there. Okay, so let's get started. Number one on my list, and I just finished this one last night, is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. And the book is broken into two parts, and I did read part one over the holiday season. I just finished part two, and the book was just so dear to my heart. I felt like I was leaving the March family. When I shut the book in the final page, I just felt so sad because they were no longer a part of my everyday life, and especially since I really took my time getting through this book, I really kind of felt an intimacy with the family, and it's really a great book. If you've never read Little Women, you truly have to give it a try. There's a great Audible of it as well, so I did a combination of the two. I had some long car rides that I was able to listen to it, and it's really an amazing classic. Number two on my list, by Daphne du Maurier, I'm not sure, Rebecca. Rebecca is a book that really seemed like it would spark my interest. It's about a woman, Rebecca, who is married to a man who had previously lost his wife, and she moves in with him, and I think the wife, or the deceased wife, somehow haunts her, or there's something going on there. I don't know too much about it. It just seems like a great gothic novel that I would be really interested in. The next one on my list, number three, is The Tess of D'Urberville by Thomas Hardy. It's about a family who forces this one woman to seek family fortune from the D'Urbervilles. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. D'Urbervilles, I think so. I have just really wanted to read some Thomas Hardy books. I've heard a lot of great things about him, and a lot of people seem to really enjoy his writing, so that is on my list, as well as The Return of the Native. I was excited to find this old book in a used bookstore, so I just really am interested in reading some of these older books that I purchased as well. I love old books, and I just love knowing that they have a history, and so many people probably have read them in the past, and I really wanted to have an opportunity to read this book as well. Number 5 on my list is Villette by Charlotte Bronte, and Charlotte wrote one of my favorite books of all times, which is Jane Eyre, so I have high hopes for this one, and I'm really excited to read another one of her books. The other book that I wanted to read is The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, and that's by Anne Bronte, and I really want to read all of the Bronte sisters' books. As much as I loved Charlotte, and as much as I loved Jane Eyre, I did not at all like Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Worst book I think I have ever read in my life, and I'm sorry if you're a fan of this book, but it just put me into a full-on depression. It made all of my days dark and it brought me no joy or happiness. If it wasn't so beautiful, I could possibly throw it in the fireplace and burn it. Like, I don't want anyone to ever have to read that book. But that's just my opinion. Let me know if you have anything good to say about that one. Then the next one on my list, number 7, is Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. I'm probably massacring all of these names, but that's another one that was on my list, as well as number 8, Middlemarch by George Eliot. I've heard a lot of booktubers say a lot of great things about this book, so I did want to give that one a try as well. Number 9 on the list is Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell. I feel like so many people have so many wonderful things to say about this author, so I'm excited to read Elizabeth Gaskell and Cranford, and I love that I also have an old vintage book of this one, so that makes me even more excited to give it a go. Number 10 on the list is This Side of Paradise by F. Scott Fitzgerald. The Great Gatsby is one of my all-time favorite books. It's right up there with Jane Eyre. And I've never read anything else by F. Scott Fitzgerald, so I'm excited to read This Side of Paradise. I think it's going to be a really good read, and it seems to be a pretty short book, so I'm excited to add that to the list as well. Number 11 is Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. I've read a couple of books by Jane Austen, and I really do find her writing to be very entertaining. It's like all of her books play out like a movie. I love all the characters. They're all very well fleshed out. You can kind of relate to most of their personalities, and they can be very comical, and their personalities are always very strong and interesting. So I really want to read some more Jane Austen in the near future as well. And I thought Mansfield Park is a pretty popular book that most people have read, so I wanted to read that too. And then number 12 is Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. I've also heard so many great things about this book. I am very intimidated by it because it's so big, and big books scare me. So it might be a while before I make any effort to read that one, but it is one that's been on my list for a long time. Also, I've been very interested in reading some Charles Dickens, so I have a few books by Charles Dickens that I would like to read. Great Expectations, and also David Copperfield, which that's going to be a live action film soon, if not so already. I don't even know. I just know I've seen previews about it, so I think it's always fun to read a book and then to watch the movie. I'm excited actually to see Little Women because I haven't seen the new adaptation of that yet, so that's going to be fun to watch now that I've read through the entire book. The other book, number 15 by Charles Dickens, is Bleak House. It seems like a very dismal story. I think it's about like a court case and lawyers and legal things, which is totally not something that I'm into at all, but I've heard a lot of talk about it, and I could be even wrong in my description if I am. Just I have a lot here to try to think of and remember, and try to remember why I ever even wanted to read them in the first place. But Bleak House seems like it's going to be interesting to read, and again, it's another very old vintage book that I have, and I really want to at least make a good attempt at reading it. Number 16 on the list is The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. And Three Musketeers, it's a story I know well, and I just think it'll be fun to read the book because I've seen it in movie form, but I've never actually read the book, so I thought that would be a fun one to read. Number 17, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And I'm not really big into mysteries, but I think that the Sherlock Holmes book will be very interesting to me. I might save that for like an October book, like a Halloween time kind of a book. It might be fun to read then, as well as, this is actually another good Halloween book to read, The Hound of Baskervilles, also by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And that just seems like it's going to be kind of like creepy and scary, and I don't even remember what it's about. It's about the Hound of Baskerville apparently, but I think that'll be another fun one. Number 19 is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I'm actually listening to the Audible right now, and it's so entertaining to me. I love the storyline, and I'm so disappointed that I went to Bath many years ago, and I spent quite some time there, and at the time I was not really an avid reader at all. I probably didn't even know who Jane Austen was, and here she is talking about Bath and the Crescent and the baths themselves and all the things that I saw there, and I never read the book. And I'm wishing that I had read some Jane Austen books before I went to see Bath. So now I have to go back. It's like on my list of places that I want to see once again, because like, how did I miss out on that? It's a big part of traveling to Bath as far as I'm concerned right now. Number 20, The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. My kids had to read this in high school, my daughter Emily and my son Patrick, and they both said it was the most horrible, most boring book that they ever read in their lives. What they told me it was about is basically an old man who goes out to sea fishing, and he tries to catch a fish for hundreds of pages, and all they talk about is him trying to catch a fish. And I think my daughter said, and at the end, he doesn't even freaking catch the fish. I don't know if that's true. But she was just like so upset that she had to read this book. I have it on Audible because they prefer to listen to and read when they have to do things for school. It just helps them to better understand the story. It got great reviews, so I'm gonna listen to it anyway, even though they had nothing good to say about it. That was number 20, but I had 5 bonus books because if you guys have been following my book videos at all, you know I love children classics. I love children's literature, so I had to pick 5 kid books to add to this list. So I have Heidi by Johanna Spry, something like that. The book Heidi is one that I don't think I've ever read, and I have a couple of copies of Heidi, and I just think it will be fun. I know the story, I've seen the movie. I want to read the book though. Number 2, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. I have read this book before, but it's been a long time, and I have so many different really cool copies of it, like old vintage copies, so I wanted to read that again. Number 3, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I actually did a big report on this book in high school, and I really enjoyed the story. I think it's so fascinating and weird, and it's just a very interesting read. I love the Alice in Wonderland Disney movie, but the book is a lot deeper and crazier, and I just want to read it again because I think it's a really great story. The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I don't even have the whole spelling here. Exupéry? I don't know, guys, I'm sorry. But The Little Prince, actually, one of the girls in our book club said that that was her favorite childhood book, and I never read it, so I was thinking I need to give this one a try. I really like kids' stories, so I think that it's going to be a story that I enjoy. And number 5 is Peter Pan. You guys know the Peter Pan book, J.M. Barrie. I've been actually reading that. I started reading it when we went away to Disney, and I actually just finished that the other day as well, and I just love the story of Peter Pan, and it is a lot different than the Disney movie. If you actually read the book, it's a lot more intense and a little bit gory, and the end made me very sad. Not so much that it was like a sad ending, but the emotions and feelings that it sparked in me at the end when everything kind of came together. And I don't know if I can spoil Peter Pan for you. I feel like most people know the story, but I'm not going to say too much just in case you don't. but the end of the book, not the movie is a little bit different. The end of the book actually made me cry. There were teardrops falling on my copy of Peter Pan as I was finishing it, and I just kind of closed it and I held it like this, and I was just like, oh, wow. It was one of those kind of books. Do you ever have one of those kind of books that you read at the end and you're just like, it really does something to you emotionally? You have like a connection? I don't know. That book gave me that feeling. Isn't that crazy for a children's story? But it did. And those are really the 25 classics that I hope to read in 2020 or 2020s. I'm going to give myself a little flexibility there just in case, but I've been doing really good with picking up on my reading in the month of February. I read so much, and it made up for not reading so much over the holiday season, which is to be expected anyway because it's a super busy time of year. But when I saw all of the 2020 classics videos, book classics to read in the 2020s on YouTube, I was like, how did I miss out on that? I know it's something that should have been shared in January, but you know what? Better late than never, and I thought I would let you know about them. So let me know in the comments below if you have read any of the books on my list, and let me know, like, if you're gonna give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Like, some people warned me. Some people actually warned me about Wuthering Heights. They said, do not read it, you will be sorry. And I was. So if I have anything like that on my list and you know it, let me know, because it's a lot of books to read, and I am not going to torture myself through anything that is not going to be an enjoyable read for me. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you to Emma, the Bookish Princess, for tagging your classics to read in the 2020s video, because it prompted me to make this one, and it was so much fun going through my bookshelf and pulling out all the books that I hope to read and keeping a documentation of those books, so I have a quick and easy reference now. When I'm looking for something to read, I can just go to my list and check mark one of them off and get to reading. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to have you subscribe if you haven't done so already. And don't forget to hit that bell notification somewhere up there so that you can be notified every time I share a new and fun video. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.